Once upon a time, in the heart of a sprawling kingdom surrounded by lush green hills and crystal-clear rivers, there lived a princess named Ilara. Her castle towered high above the land, its golden spires glinting in the sunlight, a symbol of power, wealth, and legacy. From birth, Ilara had been groomed to take the throne. She wore silk dresses adorned with jewels, dined at elaborate feasts, and heard her name spoken in reverence everywhere she went. But what no one saw, what Ilara herself tried desperately to keep hidden, was how deeply alone she felt. Nights were the hardest. When the great halls emptied and the laughter faded away, she would retreat to her chambers and sit by the window, staring out at the kingdom, while her chest ached with a hollow kind of sadness. She felt trapped, not by walls or chains, but by the weight of expectation. She thought back to her childhood, even then marked by duty. Lessons in diplomacy, swordplay, economics, and royal etiquette filled every day. There were no frolics in the meadows with other children, no carefree afternoons chasing butterflies by the riverbanks. And now that she was older, her schedule had only grown more demanding. Banquets, meetings, decisions, always with a smile, always perfect. The tiredness seeped deep into her bones. One morning, as she sat on the throne during an audience with her advisors, Ilara watched a farmer speak earnestly about the state of the crops after a storm. He held his cap in his hands and spoke with trembling nervousness. But what struck Ilara most was the warmth in his gaze when he talked about his family, the pride he felt in protecting them, even through hardship. After his plea for resources, as he bowed and stepped away, she found herself whispering, "What is that glow in his eyes?" An advisor leaned in, thinking she meant his argument. "A persuasive man, no doubt," he said dismissively, turning her attention to the next petitioner. But Ilara knew that wasn't it. She had been surrounded by glittering jewels and gilded halls all her life, yet never felt that kind of joy. Could it really exist somewhere beyond power and privilege? For weeks, the question tormented her. Ilara watched a farmer speak earnestly about the state of the crops after a storm. He held his cap in his hands and spoke with trembling nervousness, but what struck Ilara most was the warmth in his gaze when he talked about his family, the pride he felt in protecting them, even through hardship. After his plea for resources, as he bowed and stepped away, she found herself whispering, "What is that glow in his eyes?" An advisor leaned in, thinking she meant his argument. "A persuasive man, no doubt," he said dismissively, turning her attention to the next petitioner. But Ilara knew that wasn't it. She had been surrounded by glittering jewels and gilded halls all her life, yet never felt that kind of joy. Could it really exist somewhere beyond power and privilege? For weeks, the question tormented her. She began to wander more often in the castle gardens, staring at the distant horizon and wondering whether the world beyond these walls held some secret she had yet to learn. Then one day, while walking through the same garden path she'd walked 1,000 times, she stopped. Her fingers brushed over the intricate circlet of gold and diamonds on her head, the crown that symbolized everything she represented, and she whispered to herself, "What if I don't want this anymore?" The thought terrified her at first. How could she abandon her position, her people, her kingdom? But the more she wrestled with it, the clearer it became. Her role was suffocating her, and she would never understand true happiness if she stayed locked in the confines of her title. So late one night, under the cover of darkness and with only the moonlight as her companion, Princess Ilara made her decision. She packed a simple satchel of clothes and necessities, slipped out of the castle through a servant's passage, and left a note on her bed. "For the people I love, I leave behind my crown. I must find myself before I can ever truly lead. Forgive me." Days turned into weeks as Ilara ventured through the kingdom, blending in among the villagers with only a shawl around her hair. She worked at a bakery in a small town, sweeping floors and kneading dough. She helped a traveling merchant tend to his wares, learning the art of haggling and storytelling. With every experience, she saw life up close, its struggles, its laughter, its bonds. One evening, Ilara stayed in a small village, watching families gather in the square for music and dancing. The blacksmith's daughter pulled flowers from the field and braided them into everyone's hair. Ilara laughed for the first time in years, when the boy next to her missed a dance step and tripped over his own feet. Here no one cared who she was. They cared that she was kind, that she listened, that she offered to help where she could. But what truly opened her heart was her friendship with a widow named Mara, who lived humbly and tended to a small garden. Mara invited Alara into her home one day after noticing how lost she seemed. Over tea, she said, "You know, happiness isn't something you can earn or buy or achieve. It's what you create every day with the people you love. It's in simple joys like the first bloom of spring or sharing a meal." Alara felt tears sting her eyes. All her life, she had been searching for something bigger, power, glory, recognition. Yet maybe it was the little things she had been missing all along. Months later, Alara returned to the castle, but not as a princess chained by duty. She refused the crown she had once worn, instead asking to serve the kingdom as a teacher and advocate for its people. Her parents resisted at first, but her compassion soon won them over. Alara's journey transformed her and her kingdom forever. She taught her people to value their bonds and shared what she had learned. True happiness thrived in connection and love, not in power or wealth. And so, though she gave away her crown, Alara became the kind of princess legends are made of, one who ruled not through authority, but through kindness,